Can't start a homily in front of Father Mike, without saying, "Good morning." Usually, with this gospel reading, we hear a homily on the wineskins and the new patch on the old cloak. This morning, I'd like to look at what Jesus teaches about fasting. This whole thing about the bridegroom, the wedding, this is a time of rejoicing. People are summoned to hear the good news, the victory of God over evil. So it's a time for a banquet. But don't misread these verses. Jesus is not saying there is no need for fasting. Our Lord fasted for 40 days in preparation for his ministry and in time of temptation. He taught his disciples to fast on several occasions. For instance, in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 6. In today's gospel, he foretold of a time which his disciples would fast. He also taught that there are times when the combination of fasting and prayer might be more powerful than prayer alone. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI told us that the heart of all worship is sacrifice. Fasting is sacrificing a legitimate self-pleasure for the love of God. When we fast, we offer a sacrifice. When we fast, we are worshiping. Think about that. Your whole day then becomes a whole day of worship just by fasting. A whole day of worship. A fast can be made for various time frames. The Jews, for instance, fasted from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Jesus went for 40 days. Each of us must discover what God is asking of us at our particular time in life. But one of the basic truths and benefits of the virtue of fasting is simple self-mastery. Dedicating yourself to allowing your spirit, that is your intellect and your will, allowing your spirit to rule the flesh. This is no small deal. And because fasting should be private, it's less prone to being ruined by vanity and pride, because no one except God needs to see it. We find two kinds of fasting in the Bible. There's ascetic fasting and prophetic fasting. Ascetic fasting is ritual fasting. It's the fast prescribed by law or tradition. It's observed by everyone at the same time in the same way, like fasting before receiving Holy Communion, or fasting on Ash Wednesday, or Good Friday. These are all ritual fastings. The prophetic fast is observed in a circumstance of special need. It's like the apostles in Mark's Gospel, chapter 9, when they couldn't cast out the demon, and they asked Christ why. He said, "This can only come out through prayer and fasting." If you recall, the king of Nineveh listened to Jonah and saved his city by mandating and practicing prayer and fasting. So, what is your special need? What demons, little or big, are you fighting in your life? What have you been praying for? Search for just a moment. Is there someone you know having a particularly hard time of physical or spiritual illness or an addiction? Consider fasting. Is there something you feel personally lacking in your own spirituality? Lord, teach me how to love. Consider fasting. Is there someone you love that you desire to come back into the church? A family member? A child? Consider fasting. Is there something going on in the world today or in the next few months that is troubling you, that needs prayer and fasting? Consider adding fasting to your prayers. Fasting is an important place in the lives of Catholic Christians. Today, Jesus said the days will come Then they will fast in those days. Those days are now. Fasting and prayer can be more powerful than prayer alone. Today is Friday, the first Friday of September. What might you want to start praying and fasting for today? Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever.